Have you ever thought, what if our planet wasn't born, but built? Today we're diving into a really radical idea from what's known as the Morphean cosmology framework. It's called Earthotomy, and it wants us to look at our planet not as a beautiful accident of nature, but as a complex, functioning machine.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if the ground under our feet, the massive oceans, the magnetic field that protects us from solar radiation, what if none of that was just a happy coincidence? What if it's all part of the design, the output of a giant engine running right beneath us?
All right, let's get into how this thing supposedly works. The core idea here isn't just a new theory. It's a complete teardown and rebuild of how we think about our homeworld's origins.
So the framework has a name for this, Earthotomy. It's basically the mechanical anatomy of Earth. And it's not just saying Earth is like a machine, it's saying it is a very specific kind of machine, a synchronous induction motor. And, like any motor, it's got parts, it needs a power source, and it has a purpose.
And this is really the central claim. The incredible heat in the Earth's core, our magnetic field, even our very precise orbit around the sun. In this view, these aren't separate, unrelated things that just happen to work out. Nope. They are all interconnected outputs of this one single planetary mechanism.
Okay, so if Earth is a motor, how's it wired up? Let's take a look at the circuit that, according to this theory, powers literally everything we see.
At the very heart of this machine are three things we look at all the time: the sun, the moon, and our own planet's inner core. The theory argues they're not just cosmic neighbors floating around, they're actually wired together, forming this enormous functioning electromagnetic circuit.
So in this circuit, each one has a specific job. The sun, that's the power source, the battery. The Earth's core acts as the cathode, which is the negative terminal. And the moon? Well, the moon is the anode, the positive terminal, and that's what completes the circuit. And apparently this setup goes way, way back. The source says that before Earth even existed as the planet we know, its core and our moon were what they call a binary magnetic pair. Just two objects linked together by magnetism that basically acted as the seed for this whole system.
So, we've got a circuit, but how does an electrical setup like that actually make a planet move and spin? Well, this is where the theory gets into some really unique physics.
Okay, you gotta hear this. The theory talks about something called the MHCT. The easiest way to think about it is like a cosmic gearbox. It's the point where Earth's magnetic field and the sun's magnetic field supposedly mesh together like two gears locking into place. And that mechanical connection, it says, is exactly what dictates our 365.25-day year. It's not a coincidence, it's a gear ratio.
And they even put a number on it. This gearbox boundary is calculated to be about 408,000 kilometers from Earth. And here's the kicker. Our moon just so happens to orbit right inside this electrical skin. The claim is that this is no accident. It's the only stable place for the moon to be if it's going to work as the anode in this whole planetary circuit.
But, for two magnetic fields to act like physical gears, they have to be pushing against something. So the theory proposes a medium for this called the plasma substrate. It's described as this dense, packed substance that fills all of space. So instead of thinking of space as empty, imagine it's full of this sort of invisible fluid. And this idea, this medium, completely flips our entire understanding of gravity on its head. In this model, gravity isn't some mysterious force that pulls things together. No, it's a direct mechanical push. Just like a boat displaces water, massive objects displace this plasma, creating a pressure difference around them that literally shoves other objects towards them.
Okay, so we've got a motor, we have a gearbox, and a totally new way of looking at gravity. But what does this planetary machine actually make? Well, maybe the most startling claim of the whole theory is that one of its main products is water itself. So here's the proposed manufacturing process, step by step. First, cosmic dust started clumping together along these magnetic fields. Then, that core moon circuit got established. Now, as that cosmic gearbox started meshing, it created a ton of internal friction and heat. And, this is the crucial part, that heat wasn't just waste energy. It actually powered a chemical reaction that produced water and carbon. So in this view, water wasn't delivered here by comets by accident, it was manufactured right here, on purpose. Yeah, so the magma deep inside the Earth isn't just some leftover heat from formation, it's an active ingredient. It's described as a live electrical current that's part of an ongoing process, constantly manufacturing the very water in our oceans.
So what you get when you put all this together is a single, unified blueprint for our planet. and it's one that offers some very different answers to some of our biggest questions when you compare it to mainstream science.
Let's just put these ideas side by side for a second. Ask why the Earth is hot inside, or why we have a magnetic field, or why the moon is where it is. Mainstream science tends to explain these as separate things. Leftover heat from formation, a coincidental ancient impact placing our moon just so. But Earthotomy comes along and says, nope. It proposes one single, interconnected mechanical cause for all of them. Everything comes back to the physics of this planetary motor.
And really, that's the core appeal of a framework like this. It presents a vision of our planet as a totally closed system. It's a piece of machinery where every single part has a purpose, and every output can be traced right back to the central mechanics. No miracles, no coincidences, no open loops. Just engineering.
And that leaves us with one last massive question to chew on. Whether you find this whole thing plausible or maybe just a wild thought experiment, it really makes you wonder, are we living on a planet or are we living inside a machine? And could a single blueprint, a single design, really explain it all?